down by Silent Forest, where the badniks grow. Back to part 5, I dare not go, for if I do, Eggman's mother would say, have you ever seen Zor kissing a whore? And I'm running out of songs to start out with, but yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to part 5 of Lost World, where we'll be doing one of my favorite worlds in the game, personally. My second favorite, to be exact. For a variety of reasons. But yes, now Zavik and Zik are trying to make a plan of capturing Sonic and turning him into a robot. Because, you know, that's going to be easy, him being the fastest thing alive. But it actually backfires in a pretty funny way. But I'll save that for later in this part. Anyway, Silent Forest Act 1. This is one of my personal favorite acts in the whole game, just because there's so much to it. I mean, in terms of the level design, it's all over the place. It's huge. It's like Tropical Coast Act 1. I also love the gameplay gimmicks in this level. I mean, you got your rail grinding, you got killer crocodiles and plants, and the music is awesome as well. It reminds me of two Sonic games. The first is Sonic Adventure 2. For those who've played that game, remember Rouge's treasure hunting stages? It kind of shares a similar theme. And I swear, I hear the Unleashed world map theme in this too. Like, this could be pulled off as a Werehog level kind of theme as well. But here we got some plant forming action. But yes, for these plants, I highly recommend you only use Sonic's first jump. Don't you dare double jump, because you'll get out of his rolling ball animation, and that's the only way to open up those plants. Also, another heads up, to get all the red rings in this level, you're going to have to do some pathway switching. Basically, when I first played this level, I couldn't get all the red rings. So I had to play it multiple times, which I love, because the more exploration in my Sonic game, the better. But yes, these tarantula spider badniks, which I hate, by the way, you have to give them the old kick-punch combo. Kick, punch, it's all in the mind. If you want to test Sonic, I'm sure you'll find he'll kick your ass. But yes, once you collect all the butterflies from their bodies, you can launch to the next planet. But yeah, I really love this level. I mean, it really does encourage exploration and speed. I mean, I'm taking it slow right now to get this bell red ring. But seriously, it's just amazing what they can do with some of the level designs in this game. You know, if Lost World was like this as a whole, like every stage introducing new gameplay aspects, more or less in 3D, in my opinion, would be better. It'd just be a really awesome game. And here we have some new enemies, the crocodiles, that are probably somehow related to Vector, even though there's no computer room in sight here. It really reminds, their animation kind of reminds me of Hungry Hungry Hippos in the way they just pop out. But yeah, we're already done with this level, you know? It's a real shame. I really wish there was more levels like that in the game. Then this could potentially be my favorite 3D Sonic game of all time. Oh, and this cutscene. I can never take this cutscene seriously, I'm sorry. Yeah, get out of here. Get out of here, Tails. Only Admiral Akbar can make that quote. Or Shadow the Hedgehog with his, "Don't touch it." Now listen to this line and tell me if you could take it seriously, honestly.
I'm supposed to be the fastest, but I was too slow to save my buddy.
Oh, them feels. I'm sorry, I can't take that cutscene seriously. I laughed so hard the first time I heard that. Because, especially considering with Sonic's past with that particular line, I mean, Jason Griffith, Sonic's previous voice actor, was literally hiding behind the bushes and saying, "You're too slow." I mean, I know they were trying to do a sad cutscene, but I'm sorry, I just can't buy it with using that line. Oh my gosh, speaking of sad, yes! We got Zor here, people, my favorite freaking Zeti in the game. He is hilarious, along with Eggman. I mean, when a character actually says sigh instead of actually doing it, you know it's gonna be good. I mean, Zor obviously is a generic stereotype like the rest of the Deadly Six. But the reason why I love him so much is because he's so over the top with it. And the stereotype, like, you don't see it much like really too often when it comes to like E-rated platforming games, so it really caught me off guard. I mean, he's gonna say an opening line right here that's so funny. Just listen to it.
Maybe all the enemies and death traps will finish Sonic, maybe they won't. Does it really matter in the cosmic scheme of things? We're all gonna die eventually.
Like, that was pure poetry. I actually died the first time I heard that right after because I was laughing so hard. Oh, like, I love his lines. They fit him perfectly. Oh, like, the script writing there, I'm not gonna lie, is perfect, and that's why I love Zor so much. And truth be told, this is actually tied with being my second favorite 2D stage in the game. There's only one other one that I kind of like slightly more, but I love it because there's so many different gameplay elements when it comes to this. It's not exactly... you never really would expect it from a Sonic game, but it's really fun. They also bring back the slicers from Metropolis Zone in Sonic 2, but they're definitely not as hard since we got a homing attack to own them really easily. And we also are introduced to the Rhythm Wisp, which I'll talk about later. I'm just going to say it doesn't really make the level good. And I love the music in this level. It's kind of like a tango theme. It represents Zor perfectly since we're basically circling around him to get to the boss fight. I really love this atmosphere and just the design of this level in general. However, I'm definitely in the minority when it comes to liking this level because basically there's a gameplay aspect that kicks in later that not very many people like. It's basically, I call it the Metal Gear Solid section. You see the robotic owl in the background? Basically, it's going to start flailing a light around, a spotlight, like, oh, there, right there. And basically, you have to outrun it or hide behind the bushes or the big birds. I'm going to showcase the Rhythm Wisp here really quickly. So basically, the concept of this Wisp is that, first of all, you don't even need rhythm for it. All you have to do is tap the music notes on the Wii U gamepad to keep progressing forward. It's a real shame because I think there was some potential for this Wisp. Like, you know what would have been cool in my opinion? Is if they added like a retro theme to it. Like, let's say Green Hill Zone was playing in the background and then you would have to tap to the rhythm of that song to keep progressing forward. And they could have used other retro Sonic tracks as well. I think that would have been so cool. You know, Nintendo does it all the time, so why not kick it in with Sonic? Come on, Sega. So yes, that spotlight is an instant KO, so make sure you do not fall into it. But personally, I have no problems with it because it adds to the challenge of the level, you know. It's not just about holding right and going fast. You have to actually try to earn that speed. And you can actually outrun that spotlight, which I'll show in my S-rank runs. Now here's the first Zor boss fight, and I love Zor, but I'd be lying if I were to say it was challenging like the rest of the boss fights we've encountered so far. But basically, his gimmick is that his robotic owl shoots out these nuts, and you just have to kick him right back at him. But Zor's so awesome, you actually can't do a charged homing attack at him, you just have to hit him 3 times, whether it's by homing attacking or spin dashing into him. I don't even know why we're trying to kill Zor, because he just loves and adores the pain. It feels so good. But one thing I haven't actually mentioned throughout this whole playthrough is that I love the Deadly Six theme, the boss fight theme. There's actually 2 versions. This version right here, I call it the banjo theme, because of course there's a banjo playing in the background. And it fits the Deadly Six as a whole so well. Except for Zavik, but they actually do something really, really interesting with him that I'll cover in the next part. But yeah, that was the first phase for Zor. Pretty easy, but you know, Zor wasn't trying. Zor. He reminds me of my early teenage years where I barely laughed at anything. I was such a depressing and bleak person at that point in time. Oh, crap. Dang it, I need to collect more animals for the next stage. Because as I said before, there's a limit after every final act. So hopefully I'll get enough for this level, in this level. Oh, this is pretty funny. Ooh, a sassy Tails. Nice work, that body. This is actually one of the few cutscenes where you see the Deadly Six all together, in color for anyways, other than the opening CGI cutscene. Now, 2 things you gotta look for at the end of this cutscene. 1, look at Tails, and 2, look at Zaz's face. Tails at the end did a little salute there, which I love, some body language humor, but if you look at Zaz, he looks like he has a jizz face working on him. Like, what the heck is up with that? That was the first thing I caught at the end of the cutscene. That was actually pretty funny. So now we have Silent Forest Act 3, and like with Frozen Factory Act 1, it's very similar in the sense that they just reused another level design but added ice to it, essentially. You know, even though they copied Windy Hill Zone Act 3, I still actually like this better than the original act, just because I find the level design more intense, and it's more epic or so, even though I'm not a fan of the ice skating. But yeah, I gotta collect a lot more animals in this stage. I need about, what, like 50 more in order to progress to unlock Act 4. You know, it's really like Unleashed with the medals. Oh my gosh, Miku, not now! Wait, just a second, guys. Here, look at Sonic's animation. Shut up. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that, guys. That was my wake-up alarm thing. But yeah, whoa, what's going on over here? I was trying to show the animation, but this is gotten better. Look at Sonic's face. He looks so constipated with like penguins dancing behind him. Oh my gosh, that was hilarious. But I apologize for that, guys. I'm supposing there's no Hatsune Miku fans watching this right now. But anyways, yeah, on the subject of waiting animations, don't quote me on this. I believe Sonic was one of the first, if not the very first, video game character to have a waiting animation. In fact, that was one of his biggest highlights, that he could stand still and he would do like a little animation, and it would change depending on how much time you let pass. That's the first thing I do every time I play like every Sonic game. I just get him near a corner and see all the waiting animations he has, because they always add new ones after every new game. Like Lost World has this perfect Easter egg waiting animation that I can't show in this part, but I'll definitely show in the next one. It's hilarious. I can't believe Sega actually thought to put that in the game. But yes, we got enough animals now. Oh, I'm covered, because that would really suck. But yeah, actually, like I was saying before I got interrupted, it's really like Unleashed with the collecting the Sun and the Moon medals in order to keep progressing throughout the game. This is definitely not as bad though, because animals just come and go. You can collect them in a variety of ways. However, the fastest way, like I mentioned before, is just to do the circuses. Now this red ring possibly is like the third hardest in the game, other than the Frozen Factory ones we did in the last part. You just pretty much have to master the parkour system in order to get it. A lot of people have been saying that's one of the hardest ones though, so I guess I might as well address it. Die, chickens! Ah, freaking chicken. But might as well showcase the laser wisp. I'm a firing my laser! Oh, I love doing that. Like I said before, it's my second favorite wisp in the game. More or less because of that reason. Oh, more lasers. Oh, these green rings here, like I mentioned before, if you get the countdown right, like 5 to 1 in succession, you get an extra life. So that was something that wasn't in previous Sonic games that was added into this Lost World. Dang it. There. And we're done with Silent Forest Act 3. Like I said before, I personally prefer it more than the original Windy Hill Zone Act 3, just because it adds more to the level design. And those penguins, man. Oh, that was funny. Now, the final act for Silent Forest is actually, it reminds me a lot of other platformers, I'm going to be honest right here. It does provide, you know, a Sonic spin to it, but basically, I'm reminded of all the other platformers I've played throughout my gaming cycle. Keep in mind, I always quote the first game I think of. I'm pretty aware that other games in the world probably have these references. I just say the first thing that comes naturally. But yes, I like it. It's definitely not as speed-oriented, which, you know, Sonic has always been a balance between speed-up and platforming, as I mentioned before. You just gotta find the right balance. And I actually don't even remember doing the mission. Oh yeah, it was the Laser Wisp mission. Oh, one up. But yeah, it's a pretty interesting level. But yes. Oh, Azor. How I miss you so. It sucks that he's introduced so late in the game. You know, only now we get to hear his wonderful emo voice. And for all of you wondering, Don't worry, he never goes to the extent of pulling any emo Peter Parker moves. You don't see him walking down through New York trying to hit on chicks, I assure you that much. But someone should make that happen. Maybe me. Anyways, yeah, this level immediately reminds me of Donkey Kong Country, Rayman, a bit of Mario thrown in there with your Crash Bandicoot. Like this guy right here reminds me of Thwomp from the Mario series, just with the tiki-like design. But yeah, it's really platforming heavy. To get through this level quickly, you pretty much have to memorize it, I'm not gonna lie. Music-wise for this track, it's a bit ish. You know, it's one of my least favorite tracks in the game. It's passable, but it's not something I go back to listen to be honest. Oh, the gold pigs from Sonic 1 once more. But now they're huge and gold. You just have to kick the bombs right back at them. Oh, this section. This section really reminds me of Scrap Brain, not Scrap Brain, Spring Yard Zone from Sonic 1. With the spike in the middle. Gets me some nostalgia memories. And there's a little secret right there. So yeah, we're basically in this huge temple, and now we're taking a detour outside. This level has lots of secrets, which I love. Basically, if you defeat all the enemies outside, boom, you get all these rings. For all you kleptos out there, enjoy. I personally don't go for every ring in the game, unlike someone I know. Here's a mandatory drill wisp section. I don't mind it. It goes by pretty quickly, and it's pretty fun. Once again, Sonic Colors didn't ever do something like this, but hey, why not? You also have to fight these enemies that look like, strangely enough, like power outlets. You know, some weird artistic design choices right here. Something you would see on Creepypasta. And man, I gotta get off that site. Some weird stuff on the internet. God help me. It's also quite fitting that we see an old school Badnik Gramda from Labyrinth Zone, I believe, was his first appearance. But most people know him from the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon. Scratch and Grounder. Scratch also makes an appearance. He was in Silent Forest Act 3. Now, the only problem I have with this level, and a few of the other levels in this game actually, is just the weird pacing, in the sense that the game has to black out in order to get to the next section. Something I give credit to Unleashed, Colors, and Generations is that when it was transferring between 3D and 2D, it didn't need to stop the game entirely and black out. In this game, to get to the next section, it does need to do that. But thankfully, the loading times in this game are way faster than the previous Sonic games. But it kind of stops the pace, you know what I mean? To actually have to black it out. Speaking of blacking out, here's something that immediately reminds me of Donkey Kong Country Returns with the silhouettes. Or even Limbo if you want to go that dark. It also reminds me of Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Everyone remembers what I'm talking about with Sandopolis and those freaking ghosts that you had to also touch a light switch in order to get them away from you. But yeah, I like this gimmick. It works well with Sonic in my opinion. The only main difference besides it being dark is that you can no longer homing attack or kick enemies, so that you need to have a light on for that. So make sure you do it when it comes to kicking bombs at enemies, or you can just jump over them like I usually do. I love the visual effect for this. It looks really nice. Like I love the streaking red on Sonic's shoes as he runs in the dark. It's a beautiful visual effect. Granted, it may not be original, but I love it. Now that red ring I just passed, you can actually get up there with a good long jump. But just to showcase this level, I'm going to do it the way, quote-unquote, Sega intended us to do it. You just have to do some platforming timing right here. Or just timing in general. Ever since Marble Zone, we've been tested to wait with Sonic throughout the levels. There's nothing new here. It's just we're so used to speed gameplay after playing the likes of Colors and Generations. So that's why I guess we all desire that speed. But I love my platforming too. So here's another secret. You get even more rings during the outside section. But now we're facing against Zor, his final phase. And I'm just gonna lay back on that excuse that he's not trying, guys. He's honestly he just wants to have the pain inflicted on him. You know, I thought towards the end of this boss fight he was actually going to get back in his robot. That's it, guys. That was a boss fight, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't even have a chance to explain what you have to do, but I think you pretty much grasped the concept of what you had to do. Like, seriously, what? I got no words. I'm sorry, I just don't. And actually, we're done with Silent Forest. That actually, despite that level being particularly a bit long, this world went by pretty quickly. But that'll be it for this playthrough, guys. Well, this part. We got the 5th Chaos Emeralds, and we are rocking on with the main campaign. We are almost done here, peoples. We already know the last guy we're gonna face. He's the big brute. He's the head honcho. The big kahuna. It's Zavik, which was no surprise. But I'll see you in part 6, guys. And until then, see you laters.